Thank you and good day. I'm very happy to be here to explain a little bit more about the flag system. Already it is mentioned in some speeches, and I like to present now the adult version of the flag system, which is known until now as a more pedagogical method to work with children and young people. But now we have the system also adapted to adult behavior. So who am I? I'm Erika Frans. I'm working as a health and social psychologist in the field of sexuality. I've been working in sexuality education and the last 20 years in the prevention of sexual abuse and also training program and development. In perspective, I want to show you that the flag system is, we have already some books already. The first book was in 2010, meant as a flag system for children and young people. The basic book this was. Then we made a second book meant for people with disability, children and youngsters with a disability, and for children with a trauma experience, different cultural backgrounds, and so on. And we mixed these books together and made a translation in English. This translation in English is also available in Estonian, is also translated for Estland. And then now, in 2021, we made a version for the adult flag system. So this was not so a decision we took like this. It was a lot of discussion going on about, do we need a flag system for adults? Because everything is clear. We have the law. There are things that are good and things that are that are criminal. So in between, is there a discussion? Do we need discussion? So at that time in Belgium, and I believe in the whole of Europe, a lot of discussions are going on about sexual behavior of adults that are known. Remember Weinstein, remember also in our country, famous actors whose behavior has been criticized, and the whole Me Too movement also made some behavior of adults. We discussed it. So we thought, let's see, and we went to a lot of experts and we asked the question, do we need a flag system? Do you think we can use it? And the answer was yes. And then we made a second inquiry to people who would use a flag system, and we asked, how then? How are you going to use it? For what purpose are you going to use it? And so we developed the flag system according to what has been told to us. And they said, okay, there is a lot of gray area that we don't know for sure is it's okay or not okay. And we need to discuss these practices that we see and experience also in the professional sphere. How we cope with behavior of clients, how we cope with behavior of colleagues. It's also about what is the exact terminology, because also there was a little bit discussion. We need really a better tool for training professionals in education, but also in care, also in other aspects of the professional behavior. There is a lack there, and the flag system could do a good job there. Certainly, it's also for victims to help them come forward and to help them talk about their experiences, and also to help perpetrators to change their behavior and reflect on what they did. And also what we saw is that in the flag system for children and young people, it also helped to reflect on how are we going to cope as a team, as an organization, with sexual abusive behavior, what is necessary to prevent it, what are measures that we can take, and then on the broader policy of sexual health, it also influenced. So these were the answers we got. So it convinced us that it was good to have a flag system for adults. And we started with a small group of adult professionals who worked with adult clients, patients, so a little bit in the care, the medical care, psychological care, social care, but soon we saw that it could be used very broad, also in a work context, so also professionals amongst each other, there is discussion going on about is it okay or not okay, also in sports, also in leisure, also in the public domain. So there was a lot of studies going on that showed us that it was a broader use, that we could use it in a broader way, so we developed it as a sort of concept that you can make different use of in different contexts. So the target group is the professional who care for the well-being of adults. It's a broad group. It can also be a taxi driver or someone who prepares your meal. So also these persons that as a professional come in contact with clients can have some result out of the flag system. What are we going to do? We are going to strengthen the prevention in strengthening the competencies of the workers, in skills and attitudes of adults, also vulnerable adults, in also the organizational policy. What is a complaint procedure? Where do you turn to when someone is not treating you well? And then the broader social change, we also used it for campaigns, for cities that want a policy on prevention, in media events, and so on. So how does it work? I'm going to explain it very shortly. Tomorrow is a workshop where we can explain it more thoroughly, more in depth. But we use drawings. We use situations that are drawn, and this situation, you can use it as a discussion tool. If you see the situation, these are two girls who give comments on the clothes of another girl. The first step of the first use of the card is this okay or not okay? So you have an instant judgment of the situation, and it can be different among. If you do this exercise, you see that we not always have the same judgment. Some people say, okay, it's normal. Some people say, no, it's not okay. So is it okay or not? And why is it not okay? What are the reasons why you think it's not okay? And then you start a discussion on what are the criteria, what are the principles you use in judging the situation. And then the next question is, how serious is it? Is it a really bad situation or is it a little moderate? So this is a nuance in how serious is it. Second step is, okay, how are we going to react to that situation? Are we going to respond to the girls giving the remark? Are we going to respond to the girl getting the remark? And what are we going to say in what sort of tone of voice? On the short term, and what are we going to do on the long term? The third step is, are the structural issues causes of this behavior? Are we mingling people that are not used to each other? Is there an explanation needed? Are there rules available for what sort of clothes you can wear at some spots and not, and so on. So this third step is, are the structural causes for the inconvenience there? And the fourth step is, okay, if you know the flag system and if you know the answers, what are situations that you have encountered yourself? And then we use the flag system to address these situations. Sorts of situation cards we have until now, there are 50 cards, are situations between clients. Here it is a man, he promises a pack of cigarettes to another man in exchange of a blowjob. So this is two men who interact. This is one person in an angry moment, a woman that shares nude photos of her lover online without thinking about the consequences, and everyone can see the nude picture. Individual behavior. It can also be behavior from a client to a professional. Here, you are cleaning, and a client laughingly squeezes your buttocks. For him, it's a joke. For you, it's not a joke. And you have to ask yourself, is this just a risk of the job, or is this a serious matter? And does it affect you emotionally? How do you react to the client? And is there someone who can turn to address this behavior? Then there is the whole issue of the behavior of the professional towards clients. Here a female social worker looks in the showers and she doesn't knock, it's unexpectedly. So here is the issue of, is there a code of conduct? Is this a habit, a bad habit? Are there discussions around it, and so on? And finally, there is also behavior between professionals. Here an executive approved projects in exchange for sex, and he demands that the woman continues to sleep with him in the future. So he is a little bit abusing his power to get sex of the colleague. So these are examples of situations that we use. It are just examples. They are they come from real situations that people told us, and they can be used as discussion materials. But we can add a lot of more examples if there is need to. So the question is there a problem? Yes, there is a problem. All the figures we know also about sexual behavior and sexual abusive behavior among adults says that half of the women and 20% of the men have experienced sexual abusive behavior. Here is a discussion about the terminology. We have invented a term said sexual transgressive behavior. It doesn't really exist in English. In Flemish, we have this is something that we use. So there's always a little bit discussion about what terminology do we use? Do we use sexual abuse? Do we use sexual violence, which is a difficult term because the violence is there? And do we call everything sexual violence? So we chose to have the term sexual transgressive behavior for the broad area of acts, and then to remain sexual abuse or sexual violence for the more serious, for the more the criminal as to be forced to perform sexual acts or rape and so on. And there you see that one woman in 5, 20% of the women, and one man in 16 have also experienced these more serious sexual abusive behavior. It's mostly at home, but it can also be in the workplace, it can also be on the street, it can also be, and so on. So a lot of places where these things take place. And we have also an idea about vulnerabilities and risk factors. I don't know if you recognize the picture there, but it's here in the museum, in the Kumu Museum in Estonia. And I took this picture last time when I was here, and you see it's like children playing there, and it's with cross stitches. I don't know if you know it, it's cross stitched, and there is a display there with I think 6 or 7 of versions of this situation, and it's actually a rape. You see a rape, but in cross stitches. It's a very symbolic picture, I think. It's wonderful. It's here in the museum, and there are 7 more variants of it. It's like seeing that it's so common that you can cross stitch a picture, that you make a cushion of it, and it's in your siege. So what do we know about the vulnerabilities? Age makes people vulnerable. Also young adults, women, LGBTQI people with a disability, people who have been victimized as children, older people. You see, we know where the vulnerabilities are and the risk factors are. So in these situations where you work with these people, you should be aware of the whole problem, and you should know the flag system as a way to respond. So what can the flag system do for you? It helps you to assess the situation, so know what do we think about it, to communicate about the situation, and then to respond to the situation. We use 6 criteria, and I'm sorry that I put there the steering wheel in Flemish. We have the steering wheel in Estonian, so some of you who have the book will understand. So we use these 6 criteria to ascertain that sexual behavior is okay. So the first question we ask is, do I want this? Do you want this? It's about consent. And the green one is about consent. The second one is there pressure on anybody? So this is about mutual agreement. Is there an agreement? Is there pressure? Is it voluntary? Is it free will? The third is abuse of power or authority. Is there equality between the partners? So, I have them. Then the fourth is development, and we have a little bit changed that criteria in order that it also matched the adolescent and the adult version, because adults, they don't develop in age groups, but they can develop in competence and coping mechanisms. So you have to say, can I cope? Am I competent? Are you competent enough to be in this behavior, in this situation? So the competency is there an important part. Privacy, the context, is the fifth criterion. And the sixth is impact. Also, this one has changed a little bit, but I'm going more into detail about these criteria. Mutual consent is, we agree on this behavior to happen. So you need a little bit a notion of what's being proposed, and it's okay that not saying no is not the same as consenting. So this is an important thing to work on, that it's not because someone is not saying no that he is consenting or she is consenting. It has to be clear and specific. It has always been revocable. You can change your mind about it. It has to be before the interaction takes place, and you need to prove that you have had an effort to check if it's okay for the other. So mutual consent is a very complex criterion, and there is a lot of work and a lot of discussion going on in this sense. The second, voluntary engagement, is about coercion, is about threat, pressure, surprise, also a sort of money exchange, friendship, doing sex in exchange for something, then it's not voluntary. The third is equality of power and status and exploration of the vulnerability of some people, abuse of privilege, and so on. But also gender, sexual orientation, cultural, and so on can be some source of inequality. The fourth is development. So here it's about, is the person competent enough? Is there not an impairment of the person? Is there not an illness? Is there not a temporary state of impairment, such as intoxication? He has a beer in his hand, so it also can be that people have taken drugs or alcohol. So you're not capable, or you're not able to control your behavior good enough. Past or present trauma is also one of the issues that here takes place, or illiteracy, people that cannot talk and speak and explain themselves. Context is simple. There is some agreement in our community about privacy and about spaces where you can have sexual intercourse, sexual interaction, and spaces where it's not okay. And then the last, impact. We don't want behavior to impact myself or someone else in a negative way. And we know a little bit about how impactful some issues are. For instance, when it's frequently, when there is anxiety, when there is secrecy, when a lot of people see the behavior and so on, it is worse. It's more serious. So you check this criteria and you come upon, when all these criteria are okay, you have a green flag, which means sexual acceptable behavior. When one of the criteria is not totally okay, you can have light sexual transgressive behavior, then it's yellow. The red one is a serious sexual transgressive behavior, and the black one is a very serious transgressive behavior. And this is a little bit an explanation here about the criteria and the flags and how you can use it to judge situations. So I don't know if you have an idea about the situations we looked at, but you know that the first one, probably you didn't, but this is a yellow flag because the two adults are consenting, are equal. There is no sign that there is something in their competence that is not okay. We don't know anything about the context, and we don't know anything about the impact, but if we say the impact is not very, very harmful, then it's a yellow flag. If we know that, for instance, the man who has to give the blowjob has a bad night's sleep or has a trauma as a result of it, it becomes a red or a black flag. So some things can change the flag, the color of the flag. But touching the professional is a red flag. Also, the sending of the nude picture without consenting the person whose picture is a red flag. Also, looking in the shower is a red flag, and you won't be surprised that the professional who is abusing his power is a black flag. So this is the way we can discuss situations, and we can come up with a flag that we agree upon. So it is discussion material. Then what also is part of the flag system is how you approach, how you respond to the situation. And we have one guideline for all the situations that are necessary. For all the talks you have to do, is it towards the client? Is it toward a colleague? Is it toward a superior? So you can use this step-for-step guideline. Name. For the green flag, you have to name the behavior or question the behavior, discuss the feelings of the people involved, and then affirm and explain why it's okay. Then you have a green flag. When you have a yellow flag, you also have to do the green steps, but additionally, you have also to explain why the behavior is not okay, what's part of the behavior is not okay, and why. And you have to make agreements about the future behavior. What are we going to do about it? When you have a red flag, then you also do the first steps, and you add also that there is more supervision and control in the future. You propose some measures that you can take when the situation is not stopping. You care for the people involved because it could be that someone is harmed, and you look upon that there is an internal note or report about the behavior. And then with the black flag, you not only propose a measure, but you implement the measure, you care and follow up the care for the people involved, and you have a possibility to an external report, going to the police, to justice, and so on. For an example, so this client is touching your buttocks, and I am your superior, and I say to the client, you touch the buttocks of the employee without her consent. What made you do that? Do you think she wanted this? It's okay to make joke or touch each other on the shoulder, for instance, but it's not okay to intimidate or disturb others. So what can we agree about this? How can you make sure this will not happen again? And what measures will we take if it happens again? Maybe you are not allowed anymore in the room, and so on and so on. And I have to report this. This is an example, and so we can teach these situations how to react to situations like that. So there are 50 situation cards, but it's interesting when you have a training that you exchange situations and that you put on your own experiences also. And you can use the same drawings for variations, so you can make other situations out of the drawings. So this is also possible. There are exercises, there is a steering wheel, and then there is also made an attempt to make it broader applicable to also other forms of transgressive behavior, such as aggression or pestering. You can also use the 6 criteria to address these issues. So it can be used in a broader policy about transgressive behavior in an institution, in an organization, on the work floor, and so on. So how can you use the flag system on the level of the professionals? It helps you to reflect on your own judgment. Do I take into account every criterion that is important? It helps to exchange within a team your observations and your judgment. You can adapt the system to your own examples. You can exercise your reaction, your response. You can focus on the needs of the professionals who work with it. And you can stress on what competences do we need in the house to be able to address transgressive behavior on the floor. It's also a tool that you can use to work with clients. Also on the client level, you can help and discuss their ideas, their feelings, their experiences also. You can help them understand what they did to others, how it impacted others, because you are talking about a situation that is not their own. It can help them prepare for new experiences. For instance, you are going to meet these people, you are going to experience this. How are you going to prepare yourself for that situation? It can help to make agreements, to share wishes, and so on. So also this is what we do in Belgium. We use them to work with perpetrators, with victims, and with people with a disability. And then the level of the organization, it can also help to build policy in an organization, because mostly we see that there is difference in opinion about what's okay and not okay, that there is discussion going on about treatment procedures. For instance, you have to wash your clients, and they need to do it in a 10 minutes time, and so on and so on. So the clients are protesting, they don't want it. So what are you doing with this? Is this a red flag, and how are you going to handle this, and what does it say about the policy of your organization? So this is our sort of discussion that are going on. So there is a book, it's only in Dutch, but we are working on a website where you will find every situation, and all these situations will be downloadable. It's free use. Everyone can use it, and you can use everything and integrate it in your training and exercises that you use for professionals in training sessions or on the floor, and so on. So this is the flag system for adults. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Erika. No, please don't leave just yet, because as you might know, we have a couple of questions for you from the viewers. I will try to translate them as in fluent English as I can. We know that there is a flag system for children and youth. How can we use this flag system for children and youth in sexual education?
Oh, you can use it in different ways. The flag system is, like I explained before, it's working with pictures. So these pictures make you want to make judgment about a situation. When you look at a picture, you can ask, is this okay or not okay? And in discussing the okay or not okay feelings, you come upon criteria. So these children say, so I thought it was not okay, but now I know, and now I understand why. So it helps them to understand rules that are in our societies, that are important in our societies, but not always followed, and they see around them things that are not okay. So then you can give words to these feelings, not okay and it's okay. And you can explain how a situation that is, for instance, a red flag situation, what they should change in this situation to make it a green one. So if you check with the other girl or guy, if it's okay, how can you check it? So all these items and all these criteria are very important, and they can exchange experiences around their own experience and their own vision and their own practice. I use this, I use that, this is what I learned.
So it's all about discussion and communication, basically.
It's all about debating, it's all about communication, it's all about discussion, and we seek the discussion. So we always look for where is the discussion, because then it's interesting for them.
Okay, we have another question. We know that in Estonia in last couple of years there has been some public sexual misdemeanors, especially in the workplaces. Who should take the responsibility in the workplace for that kind of behavior?
Well, I think that the one who is in charge of the workplace should take care of that the people working in the workplace feel safe and are protected against sexual abuse. We have in Belgium, we have laws around this, so you have the right as a worker to be safe and not to be exposed to sexual abuse or sexual behavior that you don't want. What we see is that that's not always the case, and the responsibility is not always taken in that. So there is also the flag system as one tool on the workplace to do this discussion and to stimulate the one who is in charge to do something about.
But what happens if the person who's responsible is guilty for the charge, let's say? In Belgium, do you have some kind of system where workers can gather around? You might understand my question already.
Yeah. Yes, of course. You should. You have to go to someone in confidence, a confidentiality person on the work floor or outside the work floor, but in a sort of social organization where you can tell your story. And there need to be some action going on. So this is changing now in Belgium. Really, the Me Too movement changed. Really, the people don't agree anymore to be working in situations that are not safe and where some people are abusing their power to ask sexual favors. So it's very interesting for us in using this flag system. We encounter in different sectors different discussions. So it's really it's also for us it's a discovery that things are really going on there and people are angry about it. So this can stimulate also that they have to do something about it.
So things are changing.
Things are changing.
For the better.
For the better, I hope so, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Erika.
Thank you.
Let's make a round of applause for Erika, you too at home. Suur tänu veel kord Erika Franzile ja teile kõigile, kes te meiega selle pika päeva oma kodus või kontoris kaasa tegite. Aga juba eilsest on teil kõigil olnud võimalik tutvuda erinevate postritega, mis kõik tänase päeva teemasid veelgi põhjalikumalt avada aitasid. Kõik postrite esitajad on ära teinud suure töö ja suur tänu teile kõigile. Aga nüüd loosime 16 postri hulgast välja 3, kes saavad Tervisekassalt tänutäheks meene. Ehk siis käivitame loterii. Ja et kõik oleks ikkagi läbipaistev ja selge, siis selgitan loteriisüsteemi. Minu külje peal ekraanil hakkavad jooksma numbrid 1–16 ning kui mina ütlen stopp, siis see, kelle number ekraanile seisma jääb, ongi loterii üks võitjatest. Kui meie loosi lototron on nüüd valmis, mida ta tõenäoliselt on valmis, siis tähelepanu, valmis olla läks. Ja see on nüüd see hetk, kus mina saan nautida, kerida seda pinget. Õhtune on veel aega, tööpäev kestab kella 5-ni. Ja teeme nüüd nii, et stopp tuleb nüüd. Ja võitja on number 3. See on tegelikult siis mitte 3. koht, vaid üks võitjatest. Nii et palju õnne sulle, number 3, see poster nüüd tuleb ka kohe ette. Ja see poster ongi nüüd meie ees. Ma loodan, et on. Ma ei ole selles veendunud. Kas on? Poster veel ei ole vist meie ees. Või ikkagi on? See on küsimus. See on see raske küsimus, millega Hamlet jageles olla või mitte olla, kas poster on või ei ole. Tundub, et ekraan on ikkagi veel valge, aga võib arvata, et äkki see valge poster oligi see poster. Kas meie poster oli juba olemas? Ja meie poster oligi juba olemas. Nii et suuremärane. Aga lähme järgmise võitja juurde. Paneme loosi lototroni käima. Tähelepanu, valmis olla läks. Ja seekord teeme natukene kiiremini, ütleme stopp nüüd. Ja teine võitja on number 9 ja kohe-kohe tuleb tema ja siin on tema poster on siin selja taga, nii et palju õnne sulle ka. Ja liigume edasi 3. võitja juurde, viimase võitja juurde. Tähelepanu valmis olla läks. Ja stopp. Number 8, palju õnne ka sulle ja see poster number 8 on siin. Nii et teeme suure aplausi kodudes kõikidele neile, kes need postrid valmis tegid. Meenete saajatega võtame ühendust ja lepime kokku, kuidas meened siis nendeni jõuavad. Tervisedenduse konverents Seksuaaltervisest oli kindlasti õige asi, õigel ajal, õiges kohas. Sest mina mõtlen nii, kui me pingutame praegu, et neid olulisi teemasid päevavalgele tuua ja selgitada, siis kasvab ka nende inimeste hulk, kes on valmis seksuaaltervisest aina avatumalt rääkima ja neil teemadel arutama. Loodetavasti andis tänane päev kõigile mitmekesist mõtlemis- ja arutamisainest. Muidugi on selles vallas teemasid rohkem, kui üks konverents suudab katta ja meeste esindajana tunnen mõningast kõrvalejäämist, kuid pigem võikski seda kui arvesse võtta võimalust, milliste teemadega tulevikus tegeleda. Sest juba konverentsi avakõnede sõnade jooksul saadeti tegelikult võrksab keskkonda järgmine küsimus. Millal tekib Eestis võimalus meestel pääseda meeste arstile ilma saatekirjata? Tundub ebaõiglane, et naistel on võimalus naistearstile pääseda siis, kui on vajadus, kuid mehed peavad saatekirjaga oma vajadust tõestama. Loodan, et suudan nüüd sellele küsimusele lühedase vastuse anda ja tooksin välja, et kuni 26. eluaastani saavad kõik noormehed pöörduda noorte nõustamiskeskustesse ilma saatekirjata ja tasuta, kuid kindlasti on see valdkond, mis nõuab suuremat võrdõiguslikkust. Kuid selge on ka see, et meeste arste on puhtarvuliselt Eestis vähem ning ilmselt on see ka üks peamiseid põhjuseid, miks selline ebavõrdsus eksisteerib. Aga loodame, et see paraneb tulevikus. Tuletan kõikidele vaatajatele veel kord meelde, et enamus ettekandeid ja salvestusi saavad olema üleval Terviseagentuuri instituudi veebis. Lähipäevil saadame kõigile osalenutele tagasiside küsitluse ning teie kõigi peegeldused tänasest päevast ja selle korraldusest aitavad meil tulevikus Tervisedenduse konverentsi veelgi paremini korraldada. Aitäh kõigile, kes meid täna kuulasid või vaatasid. Aitäh kõigile moderaatoritele, kõnelejatele, arutlejatele ja kõigile neile, kes tänast päeva aitasid korraldada. Hoidke endid sellel kummalisel haiguste ajal, tagumine aeg on helkurid välja otsida ja igal muul moel oma turvalisuse eest hoolitseda. Käige salliga, kandke mütsi, isegi siis, kui see tekitab tunde, et rohkem on jõulud kui suvi ja hoidke oma lähedasi. Päeva kokkuvõtteks jäävad ekraanile mõneks ajaks jooksma meeleolufotod tänasest konverentsipäevast siin stuudios koha peal. Kohtumiseni Tervisedenduse konverentsil 2022. Ilusat päeva jätku!